All right, everyone, welcome back to the community conversation. Excited for our guest this week, Marc Dobay, aka Big Marc, aka probably the nicest car collection at Prototype. And there's probably some more AKAs that we'll throw in at the end of this conversation. But excited to have Marc on today. Marc, thanks for being with us.
Hey, yeah, happy to be on. Happy to be
Yeah.
on in a lot of these. So yeah, finally it's come around to me. I was like, oh, I'd like to do one of those. And then when you asked me, I'm like, do I really want to do one of those?
Now you're on the hot seat. First thing is that most people that may be listening right now may be listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatnot. So they may not be seeing the YouTube video. But the first thing I noticed is this amazing background that we got going on. There's like all this stuff. So if you guys that aren't watching the YouTube video, Marc's got like 3 guitars in the background. He's got like artwork. He's got like an aquarium. He's got like these leather bound chairs. He's got like this digital clock. It's basically the perfect Zoom setup. So instead of me
background.
Yeah. And so instead of me starting the conversation with like, give us your fitness journey, talk a little bit about the stuff in the back. So clearly you're a musician, you're into guitars. How long have you been playing?
So I wouldn't use the word musician. I would say that they're mostly wall art. If I would to say, I've been playing or trying to play, and that's probably my biggest downfall. I've never really dedicated the cycles to really learning it. So I know a handful of riffs. I play the same thing over and over again for the last 20 something years. I've had a guitar like forever. I guess in guitar terms, they call it noodle. Yeah. So I've been noodling around forever. I'm a lefty, which makes things super difficult. So in the guitar world, if you know anything about guitars, like lefties are like unicorns. Like a nice guitar in a left-handed version is like very hard to find. So over the years, I've been fortunate enough to be able to afford some higher end guitars in their lefties. So that they're more of the collection on the wall. But yeah, I just kind of poke around, loosely, even probably not even a campfire guy. A handful of songs here and there. I wish I could play better, but I honestly just don't dedicate the cycles to learning.
What are the riffs? Give me a song that you can play, or your favorite.
Right now, I've been practicing a little bit of Metallica. Am I Evil, which is a really hardcore that I've been playing trying to play a little bit of Iron Maiden, The Trooper.
Like, you're not picking easy songs, is what it sounds like.
Acoustic.
I think you got to give yourself a little bit more credit. You're like, when you say like I've been like ripping, I don't really play. I'm thinking, okay, like, I don't know, playing some basic like one couple notes or whatever here and there, but you're playing like technically hard songs. Like,
yeah, I can play some. I can do some on my acoustic. I can play some, some strumming. I'm pretty good with acoustic chords, so I can do some strumming and stuff. But I never kind of follow it all the way through. I know like I can play like half of like Space Odyssey from David Bowie. I can play a couple of chords of this, a couple of chords of that. That's enough. I get into it. I play for a little while. I get into it, and then I'm like, okay, that's good.
That's cool. I like it. I didn't know. It's interesting you mentioned the lefty. I never even thought of that. Now that you bring it up, because like the strings would be the opposite, so it would totally change how you play the guitar. So your guitars are set up like the strings are set up the opposite way. Is that basically how it is, or it's just the orientation?
Guitar set up opposite.
Got it.
Everything is opposite. So yeah, it would be, if you flipped it upside down like a Jimi Hendrix would be, then you'd restring it, and the strings would be the other way around on a right-handed guitar. But on a lefty guitar, they make it so that everything's left-handed. So the whole shape, it looks the same as a right-handed guitar, just flipped up, flipped around.
That's cool. I didn't know that. And another thing. So I know you're a big car guy. Like, I before we get into the fitness stuff, I'm curious because I know you got like the Vet, you got the Jeep. Like, have you always been into cars? It seems like a passion of yours.
Yeah, I'm I like to call it automotive ADD.
AAAD. Triple AD.
Yeah, I grew up in the automotive field. So my father owned an automotive business. My brother still owns an automotive business. I grew up working in the automotive industry, so I spent the first half of my career, 20 something years, as an auto technician.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know that.
So
It's,
yeah, so
so it's been in your blood, basically.
yeah, so I've been around cars forever, and I get bored of vehicles really quick. So
Mhm.
every couple of years, if I can even wait a couple of years, I I tend to get something new, which is not the greatest financial investments, that's for sure. But
Well, those
yeah,
cars, I mean, the cars you have hold their value, I would assume. I mean, the Jeeps hold their value. The vet, I mean, the by the way, you have the one, the newer vets, right? They're sharp.
yeah, that's the C7. So I just got that last year.
Uh-huh.
So what I tend to do is I buy something, I work on it because I can fix it up. So I
Mhm.
buy something, and I don't buy things that are very expensive for the most part. So I
Mhm.
buy things, I fix them up, and then I sell them. And I typically sell them for what I bought them for. So I just kind of roll the money over from one vehicle to the next vehicle to the next vehicle. The exception to that is the new vet, is the C7 Corvette. And
Yeah,
then the Jeep was I typically lease vehicles because I go through them so fast. So the Jeep
totally.
is the lease. But to tell you the truth, the Jeep has turned out to be one of my favorite vehicles. And I'd never owned a Jeep before, but that Gladiator, I'm in love with that thing.
Dude, they're cool, man. You threw that rubber duck on my car the other day. Didn't know that until you told me. So, well, for everyone listening, we're not going to tell you the underground like Jeep like stuff. It's just for the cool people that have Jeeps. So you have to get a Jeep, and then we'll tell you the secrets. No, that's cool. I did not know that. Well, shifting gears. I know you've been at Prototype for a little bit. You were a few months ago our Prototype of the month. And so anyway, I'd love for you to share kind of like your fitness journey with us. Like, how did you find Prototype? How did you get into fitness? Like, I know you have like, you were working out before coming to Prototype, and you have like a good story there. So share it.
Yeah. So what are we in 2023 now? So about 10,
2022.
yeah, 2022. Yeah, almost
Wait,
23.
well, ever since COVID happened, we don't know what year it is. Let's just be real.
So maybe so I guess 2010 is probably like, for me, I would say that was kind of that's like the stake in the ground that I could put. So I've never been into organized sports because I never felt I was any good at it.
Mhm.
Being a lefty, sometimes it's very, you're kind of awkward. So, you know, yeah, I would bat righty. I would hold, like hockey was like total blur for me because like the curve of the stick and then a lefty to a righty. And
Mhm.
so I wasn't good with a right-handed stick and I wasn't good with a left-handed stick. And then in baseball, trying to throw the ball, it just was not my forte. So I
Mhm.
wasn't really into sports when I was younger. I did do some weight training when I was younger. Not a whole lot, not religiously, but enough. And so around 2010, at that time, I had pretty much switched careers from automotive industry into the computer side of the house, into technical, more of a white collar job. And I was getting, putting on the pounds, right? So I carry a pretty decent amount of weight as it is anyways, but I was probably almost 210 pounds, in 2010. And I just was, there was other stuff going on in my life, and I was just fed up with like how I looked. So basically, I said, I'm going to do something, right? I'm going to, like everyone, I'm going to start dieting and start exercising more, start going to the gym on a regular basis. So that's kind of when it turned around for me. So I started
You just
basically,
switch gears, like literally, you just made that decision, and you're like,
yeah, just looked in the mirror and was just like, ugh. You see yourself, you see these pictures of yourself, and there was this one picture of me at a conference. Um, and I was wearing a polo shirt, and I was at a conference, and I was excuse me, I was so heavy. I was like, oh my god, who is that guy? So that was it. So from then on, I decided to start eating healthier, um, stopped eating a bunch of junk food, and then started working out. And then I started, like, running was like the big thing for me.
Mhm.
And I tell this kind of the story about where, like, I used to go out of I couldn't even run, literally could not run to the mailbox without like dying. And like we're talking a couple hundred yards.
Yeah.
But as I started eating healthy, like every night I'd go out, I'd run to the mailbox, I'd run back. Then I'd run past the mailbox, then I'd run back.
Hmm.
Then just like week after week, it would just be like, and where I lived at the time, there was this circle that just kind of circled around the condos that I lived in. And 4 times around the condo was a mile. So it was, I'd run halfway around and then I'd walk. And then I'd run finally I got all the way around. And then finally I got 1 mile. Then I got 2 miles. And then I got 3 miles. And then so that helped. And then I started using, I did Insanity, I did P90X. And those were tough programs, no doubt. Like so, and then I was also going to the gym in Westboro, kind of where Prototype is, across the Boston Sports Club or whatever. So I'd go there. And that was pretty much it. So those, for many years, I just kind of did my own thing. I did a lot of running, which was to the detriment of some of my body, but so I loved it. I did a lot of running. I never quite got into the marathon. I had gotten into the Chicago Marathon one year, but then started having some tibial band issues. So that I couldn't, there was no way I was going to run a marathon at that point with the tibial band issues. So, and then I've done I've done a bunch of half marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks. I got a ton of medals downstairs in my thing. And that helped me. I dropped the weight. Then I used a program called Stronger You, where they kind of like John does with dieting and nutrition, and helps you kind of start eating healthy. And I'm just counting carbs and calories and that stuff. I did that for a while. Got down to like, people say like, like 6 or 7% body fat. I was 145 pounds, completely shredded.
Oh my God. So you went from 210 to 145 in how long was that? That was 2010 to when?
Probably 2 years.
Wow. That's impressive. The one thing that just stuck out to me, I had to mention, is like, that I think is an important lesson, like for people that are listening, is like, how like you kind of like, first of all, you had this realization that you had to make a change. Then you mentioned like this picture at a conference, you probably were feeling more tired, and there's a lot of other stuff that probably contributed to that. But like your approach to making a change wasn't, okay, I need to go run a marathon. It was, let me run back and forth from my mailbox. Yeah. And it was just, you gradually just built up and built up and built up, and then started making all these changes. What's so impressive is the fact, it sounds like you did this like just you by yourself, like you were just motivated to just do it. And then it sounds like you did these races almost as little mini goals, like that kind of kept you going along. And then you change as you kind of grew and like got more fit, you started to increase the challenge a bit by adding in these more difficult programs. Like, it's really interesting. Like, what, I don't know if that was deliberate.
Yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. And I think, with running in particular, I'm into cycling now. So now I do a lot of cycling, but so with running in particular, for me, there was like that one point where it just clicked, right? Where you stop being out of breath and trying, and really being out of breath and sort of, I can't run anymore, to this point where you kind of hit this level where, okay, I made, I'm on 3 miles and I'm not breathing heavy anymore. I feel like I can just go. I think runners, they call it the runner's high. I don't know if I've ever got like the runner's high, but I did recognize that at a certain mileage, after a certain mileage, it wasn't such a chore anymore. It was just like, hey, I'm just going to keep going because it feels okay. My body feels okay. And I'm just enjoying it. I'm clearing my head. I'm looking at, for me, kind of like, I just liked being outside in nature, and the trails were really nice, or on the road, and just kind of being out there, listening to music and just running. So that was kind of like my mental place to go after a while. And cool. Now it's more bicycling than it is running, because it's just my body now. I just can't. It's gone the other way.
So that was 2010 to 2000 to you said 2 years, so like 2012-ish. And then like, so then when did you like, what brought you to the decision of like, because you were doing everything kind of on your own, what made you kind of move to the decision to go into like group training?
Yeah.
Like what was that transition like?
So I was going to the gym a lot, going to the gym a lot, but and it's funny because I was talking to BZ about this the other day, Brian. In I was going a lot, but I didn't have any real structure. So, you do the gym thing, you go there, you end up spending a couple hours at the gym, but you're not really getting a good workout because you're like, I'm doing a couple, I'm going to go and do some curls, then I'm going to do some bench presses, then I'm going to walk around a little bit, and then I'm going to do a couple pull-ups, and then I'm going to go over to the treadmill, and then, you're just kind of like wandering around doing.
It's like a buffet. You're just like, or whatever you feel like
and you
eating.
try to get structured. You try to look at workout programs, the 3-2-1, or there's a bunch of different like versions of it. And you go there with a plan in your head, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But honestly, I just didn't have the discipline. So I would do running, I'd be on the treadmill, I'd do the workout. But I was bored there and just didn't know what to do. And, there was always coaches, not really, I guess, I don't know if they were coaches, and some of them were coaches and some of them were just workers, but you hear them in the back talking about oh, CrossFit this, CrossFit that, and great if you want to go get hurt and this and that. And so that kind of deters you a little bit from going. But I started, there was one coach there, Stephanie, who was really good, and she said, hey, I've got this program that I want to try. And it was kind of like a high intensity, but we do all these different things. And it was a lot like Insanity or like P90X, where it kind of, and I liked that structured, where it just went in and knew, like, didn't have to worry about what I was going to do. The coach was going to say, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then, you get a good 45-minute, 50-minute workout. And then, so that was great. And I said, well, then I said, well, let me start looking into CrossFit because it's more of a structured workout and give that a try. And that's what drove me to the next level. And I said, all right, well, I'll go, and you guys are right across the street. I'm like, okay, well, hey, there's a place right across the street. Let me poke at it and see what's happening. And the rest is history, I guess, from there.
That's cool. Yeah. So you kind of like you just shifted a little bit to wanting to like level it up. Like, again, just adds to that gradual progression in terms of your journey. So one question I always like to ask people that come on here is like, favorite memories, like at the gym, like favorite movements, favorite workouts, like what are the things that kind of come to mind, like when maybe you start talking about Prototype, maybe to other people or whatnot. What are those things?
Yeah. So, well, again, just in general, right? Just the camaraderie, the coaches, the atmosphere within inside your gym box, however you want to call it, is I think is one of probably the greatest thing there, is that just like people come in, everyone's friendly, it's a great place to work out, it's low key, there's not a lot of pressure, but you've got all of the support from all the coaches, you get the support from the other people working out. So I love that about it. I love the fact that I can come in, I know that just it's an hour workout, just show up, they're going to tell me what to do. If I'm not feeling something, I can find some alternatives to what I was working. If I'm hurt, or if I'm not feeling great, or if I'm sore, there's always these alternatives. And then for workouts, for me, it's like the Murph workout without the, I forget what they call it, without the run, right? So
Cindy.
Like to me, that's like one of my favorites. I love I do the 5, 10, 15, right? 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats, and just bang it out. And I think I hit 20 rounds last time. So
it's around a minute, dude.
Yeah. So
that's pretty good.
So that's pretty good. But then the run takes you out. But that's one of my favorite workouts. I like that. I love the jump rope, double unders is always a good time. And then the rest of the stuff, I'd love to do more.
Yeah,
I do, but it's it's just, again, it's the dedication and time. But there's probably no workouts that I hate, I guess. I'm
What's
not
that?
afraid of burpees, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You and everyone else. Yeah. Another question I have is like, I know you did the lift off. I think you won like the bench press.
Yeah.
A lot of folks that come into the gym, like, they'll come in to have, get fit, et cetera. And then like, start getting kind of into this groove of like, wanting to do workouts as prescribed and do certain movements. Like, what are the things that are on your bucket list? What are the goals that you have or things that you're trying to accomplish now?
Yeah. So, the lift off was great. And, I've always been a fairly strong bench press. I was definitely surprised I got that high of that bench off.
It was
But
like what was it? 300 something, 300?
it was a lot.
315?
Not a three, was it 295 or?
I thought it was around, so it was high. I was like, that was around 300.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I think just under 300, but it was, yeah.
It was heavy. It was
It was
heavy. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah.
So double unders was all like for double unders took me a while to get. So I was happy when I finally got double unders. And then muscle up is another one that I've worked on a little bit. Haven't quite got it. I got 1 or 2 off, and then haven't really progressed so far there. And I think that's an odd one because that one's I guess tough because it's such a tough movement between the mechanics of it and then just the sheer power that it takes, and then me being a little heavier than I'd like to be. It's just a lot of weight and and on my shoulder. I'm trying to stay uninjured.
Yeah. Don't want to hurt yourself. Yeah, but you got it though. I mean, you got the movement. So you can check it off the list. I mean, you seem like the type of guy that, like, when you want to do something, you do it, like, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. So in my head, I've got strict muscle up at some point, just to really, and freestanding in the free handstand. I've been practicing that a lot. I'd really love to get into that. I could just be able to get up into a free handstand. I don't know why. It's
cool. It's a cool party trick. It's a cool party. It's like riffing on the guitar, man. It's a cool party trick. I'm curious, do you go to Jack Super Sunday sessions?
I haven't, because I've been doing so I saw Brian a few months ago doing some Muay Thai with one of the guys. I'm like, oh, you guys, do you have are you doing a class? You get this or that? And he's like, no. And he goes, no, it's just a personal training. And then he sent me a text and said, hey, if you're interested in doing a little training, we can set up some one-on-one sessions. And so that's what I've been doing with him on Sunday.
That's cool.
So Jack's stuff looks cool too. And I would do that too. I already get quite a bit of flack from my better half that I overachiever at the gym and do too much. So I've got to, I would do Brian. I would do the boxing with Brian on Sunday, hang out for the for the mobility, and then jump right into another class.
Totally.
I'm not sure
then your afternoon and Sunday is you don't have to say anymore. I totally get it. No, it's all about priorities. No, this is cool, man. Yeah, once you start putting in the work into the strict muscle up and the practice on the handstand, I'm sure you'll get it. Jack and John, I think are your guys right there if you want any help on those things. So
I gotta heal my shoulder a little bit more first.
And then we can work on that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So Marc, I want to get into our final question round here. This little fun game that we've been doing at the end of these community conversations. 2 truths and a lie. I know I prepped you a little bit beforehand. I know you've listened to some of these, so you know. But basically, for you guys that are listening right now, Marc is going to say 3 statements. 2 of them are true, and 1 of them is a lie, and then I have to guess which one is the lie. Right now, I'm batting below 500. 2 and 3, I think, is my record. So, just saying, like, I'd like to get back up to 500. So, would that be? Don't make it too easy for me, Marc. But what do you got?
Okay. So rattle off all three at first.
Yeah. Don't tell me which one is the lie.
Gotcha. So I once went on a date and got so drunk that I lost the date and have never talked to that person or seen that person ever again.
Okay.
My second one is I worked for a local radio station as a promotions coordinator. And then the third one is I'm an avid flyer, so I have my pilot's license.
All right. I feel like I could have gotten that third one out of you by asking about those paintings in the back because you have planes in the background. I feel like that may be true, but then I'm like, when would you fly? Like, that's a question I have in my mind is like, you do so many things. Like, when would you actually go and fly? But I mean, I'm talking to myself right now. You got so drunk that what was it? You got so drunk that you just lost your date.
I lost a date.
And then the radio station this is hard. I know you said you were in the auto industry, then went into corporate. You didn't mention anything about radio station. Maybe that was in between there. The date thing, I guess I could. I want to go with 2, the radio station. Is that the lie? It's a lie.
No, that's true.
Damn it. Damn it. All right. So what's the lie?
The lie is the pilot's license.
God, you know what? There was the other thing in my head. I'm like, you know what? I think he was trying to trick me with those paintings in the background. Damn it. Okay. All right. So now you got to tell me the story. So I'll start with my guess, the radio station thing. So what was that? Was that in between? Because you said you went from the automotive.
Yeah. So I spent, So in between while I was still working in the automotive industry, I actually did part-time. So I went to Columbia School of Broadcasting when I was younger. It was going to be a radio DJ guy. So I went to school for that and then got an internship at WAAF and then worked for WAAF, which is if people don't know, it's a local Boston radio station, no longer around, and worked my way into a job there as a promotions coordinator and what do they call it now? Promotions coordinator and show prep guy for one of the afternoon guys.
And then, so now you're going to tell me number one.
So number one,
the drunken date. Like when was that? How old were you here?
I was young, probably just, early 20s, I think.
So what's the story? Paint the picture for us.
A friend of mine was like, hey, so-and-so wants to know if you want to go out on a date. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, let's go out. And then we're like, all right, where we're going to go? We're like, hey, let's go into Boston, big shot, let's go into Boston. So, I pick her up in my car. I picked her up in my car.
What were you driving then? You're a car guy. What were you driving then?
Oh, back then, probably a 280, Nissan 280Z.
Yeah, was it red?
No, it was like silver. Again, I was poor back then. So
dude, Nissan 280Z though, that's still not a bad car. My dad used to have one of those.
It was fun with the T-tops. So so we drove into Boston. I think we were at like the Cask and Flagon back then, or whatever it was called, up by Fenway. We went in, I got a drink, she got a drink, and I don't know if I was roofied or not, but that was the last thing I remember. I got like a margarita. The last thing I remember was getting the margarita. The next thing I remember, I was in my car in the parking lot. And it was like 2:00 in the morning. I finally sobered up enough. I drove home. I never heard from her again. I don't know what happened. Everything was closed down. I was just in the parking lot, empty parking lot, just like going, what just happened? So.
We'll never know the rest of that story. There's no more memory of it, but that is a good story. That is a good story that, you may have gotten something put in your drink though, but that's
maybe they were trying to get it to her and ended up giving it to me, but it was,
I don't know. Well, you took that, you took that one for the team. Let's put it that way. If that's the case. This is why I love the 2 truths and a lie, because you end up finding out some other cool, fun facts that I would never have known unless we went into it. But Marc, I really appreciate you being on the community conversation today. This is awesome. A lot of fun stuff we talked about. Everyone that's listening right now, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, every Monday we bring the community conversation to you first thing. So make sure you check on that daily brief. You guys can listen to this on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, we have this on YouTube and on our blog. But with that being said, Marc, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
You got it.
All right.